So I think what we're getting to here in this story of Job is a bit of a crossroads, where enough is enough, where you and me and Job need to diligently separate signal from noise. Signal being, what is God actually saying? What's he communicating? What is he messaging? What is he calling you towards? And what's all that other stuff that seems to be filling the airwaves that is just not true? That signal, that noise. How much of it comes from the outside and how much of it bubbles up from the inside? So to you and I this morning, the question remains, how do we separate the signal from just the noise? And once we're able to do that, recognize what God is saying and what's not from God, how do we deal with that mess that's in the middle? How do we come to terms with the fact that there are some things that we just cannot control, there are some answers that we are just not going to have, yet in the middle of all that mess, we are still required to live faithfully and obediently? Maybe this will help us out a little bit. That the whole story of Job is a massive raising of questions to which the book does not provide answers. It is about living with questions to which we do not have answers. So then the big question to you and I this morning is this: can you do that? Can you remain and live faithfully and obediently to Jesus, even if you don't have all the control or all the answers that you want? Are you okay to live with the unanswered parts, with the loose ends? Take it a step further. What are you doing with the voices in your head, the ones that come in from the outside? Like right now, are you able to separate the signal from the noise? What feels like God? What doesn't? And what about the internal voices that bubble up inside of you, that tape that keeps playing over and over? Are you able to hang on tightly and give your attention to what God is saying? And are you able to discard the things that just aren't true? Job is getting there. Kinda, sorta. Can we? So let's just camp out there for one moment and hear this clearly. That people will forever disappoint you. They will doubt you, they will hurt you, they will say all the wrong things. They'll assume things about you. They'll dissect your life. And like Job's friends, they can use the information that they gather about you and draw wrong conclusions. And listen, this is widespread from people that are very far from you to those who are very close to you. We could go all the way out, and for some of you this morning, you might say, well, for example, well, Trump is the enemy, and I don't like him, and I've got vindictive feelings about him. And you can pull it in a few steps and say, well, that guy at work, if he does one more thing, if she says one more thing, then I'm totally going to lose it. And then you can bring it in one step closer, and you can say things like, my mother-in-law, I don't like her at all. Not my mother-in-law. I mean, you guys with your mother-in-law. I would never say that about my mother-in-law. Come on, right? Don't laugh, then she'll know. That's weird. But you can see it, right? It can go as far out to someone that I don't know, to someone I know on like a sort of temporary basis, and then someone who's actually a big part of my life. But here's the thing, that demonizing people is easy. To write the people off who have mistreated you is the easy way out. And I'm here to tell you this morning that the easy way out is a trap. Because no doubt, you and I have experienced friends like Job's friends, where you can be in this prickly sort of relationship. But I think the offbeat truths that we can mine for this, and I know there's a bit of a weird take on this part of the passage, but track with me here, okay? That sometimes it's very easy for us to demonize people who say and do all the wrong things. But to humanize them, to look past and beyond all the dumb things they say or do, is the true measure of the Christ follower. Because Jesus says, love even your enemies. And don't hear this as me saying, well, you're just letting someone get away with murder. Hear it as not getting sucked into someone else's pain and wanting to murder them in your heart. So then, for you and for me and for Job, when things fall apart, when friends disappoint, maybe the healing that we're looking for is actually found when we make room for messed up situations and for messed up people. So the big question for you and I this morning is this: are you making room for messy situations? Are you actually making room for messy kind of people? Because if you're like me, I don't want either of those. I want things neat and tidy. Keep the crazies away from me. I got my own problems. I don't need yours. And sometimes people try to curate their lives, right? They curate their friendships and they curate their moments. They want to make sure that everything is perfect. And the moment that someone or something is introduced into your life that's a little bit messy, you just want to get out of it. But I think what we can learn here is that it's in that mess, in that grief, in that mourning, in that brokenness, that healing is actually found. So what we begin to see here then is this: that at the heart of Job's cry isn't just a cry for vindication. What Job wants is healing. What Job wants is a renewal of relationship. So the sense we're getting here is this: that this whole story maybe ultimately isn't about the problem of evil and suffering in the world, but if you look closely, it's actually about a close and whole relationship with our Creator. And Job names our Creator here our Redeemer. Your Bible might say it's the kinsman redeemer. And we talked a little bit about this in the past, especially in our series in Ruth. What's a kinsman redeemer? Quick snapshot. Kinsman redeemer is someone who comes in and who salvages the dignity of somebody who has suffered a loss. A redeemer is someone who is part of your family, who's got more money and more position and more power than you, so he's able to rescue you out of whatever trouble you're in. Because the redeemer's job is to what? Is to protect you. Our Redeemer is like a spaceship that destroys himself to protect us in our world. Our Redeemer dies so in turn we can live. So then for you and for me and for Job, we are left with this image that, like Google, as we mentioned way back in the beginning, God is tracking our movements and our thoughts, but not to keep tabs on us and not to keep score, but because he's interested in who you are, what you're into, what you're doing, and where you're going. And like Cassini, he takes joy in the discovery, but also in the sacrifice. So then, for you and I, this means that we have hope that one day, this day is coming where you and I will be resurrected, where everything will be made right. And not because you accomplished it or achieved it, but because God willed it.